We're finally live.
Hello.
Hello. Suzette's been wondering here for the past hour whether we were live the whole time, but we're now live.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, I mean, we have to. Like, we always like to talk about before we get started about the pre-stuff here. Suzette's the first one to sit in the seat to make sure that she was situated. So it's always good to have a female. The female guests are very different than the male guests. I can tell the male guests, like 5 minutes before they jump in, 5 minutes after she got here, she's like, need to make sure I look good on the camera. So do we want to give her the close up right now, or do we want to wait, Josh? We'll wait on her close up too. No, we'll wait on her close up, I guess.
I think I'm okay. Thank you.
So everyone, thank you. Thank you for tuning in right now. We are here with episode 63 with former Army Sergeant Suzette Heller.
Thank you for having me, Shay. I appreciate it.
I finally got you in here. It took
a while. It did. It did.
Exciting.
Yes, thank you.
You still nervous? You said you were a little nervous.
A little bit.
We'll roll into it. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
We got a great story. So you were snooping too about what we're going to do. So we're going to start off the American Legion quote was a quote. We're going to start off with a quote. Okay. Obviously, you haven't seen the podcast before, or you would know that it was a quote. But so this is a quote from Mike Braun. The American Legion has been a cornerstone of American life from the local to the federal level since the beginning, and serves as a constant reminder of the enormous contributions America's armed service members have made to enrich our nation during and after their military service. And I thought that was a good quote for you because the American Legion is near and dear to your heart, like some other things. Yeah,
it's played a huge role in my just in my life as a veteran. Yeah, in advocacy and for at least the last 16 years. Yeah, certainly. So and even now I'm an officer in the American Legion at the district level.
Officially, you are the district commander of American Legion 12th district, right?
Yeah, district vice commander. Yeah.
I thought you'd wear your hat, like the American Legion.
It's in my car, actually, if you want me to go get it.
It look a little.
I carry it with me everywhere.
It would look a little awkward with the headphones on, but
we could probably make it work. We could have put it
on the front, but that's good. I've seen you with that. There's many pictures.
Yeah. Yep. I wore it for many years, but no, I became engaged with the American Legion in 2000, probably around 2007, 2008, advocating for student veterans of America in Michigan, actually. So I was a student veteran, and that's really how I got involved with the American Legion, the veteran service organizations, as a student veteran. And we were advocating for space, which you would think wouldn't really be that big of a deal, but it really was. And
physical space? Or?
Yeah, physical space and higher education. Using post 9/11 GI Bill, and that was a real challenge. Veterans coming home and utilizing their education benefits. And so we were lobbying at the State House all over the United States. Veterans were doing this. And some campuses were a lot friendlier than others. And, obviously the for-profit institutions versus the nonprofit institutions. And so I ran into the guys with the funny hats, and they're like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "Well, who are you?" Because I really hadn't, been introduced, other than on drill weekends from the Light Guard Armory on 8 Mile in Detroit. We would go into a Legion post on 8 Mile, and we'd go drinking, after after duty. And but I never knew women could join the American Legion. So, that was my first introduction. And I asked, well, can women become, be Legionnaires? But I never joined. So, that became kind of a love relationship with the VSOs from there.
With that for a long time.
Yeah.
You still are doing it, right? I mean, technically, yeah.
Yeah. So that was, probably 2007, 2008. And then I became employed in 2011.
You're just jumping right to the good stuff. Right?
I know. Sorry.
No, I'm kidding. No, there's some questions I have about the VSOs as we go along, but because that's what the Legion's known for, the funny hats, right? I guess everybody knows them for that. And when I was, talking to many other people we see, I'm still not a member of the Legion or the VFW.
I have a membership card with me.
I'm going to sign you up right after
You will
this.
be before I leave.
No, it's interesting because, like, for me, the American Legion was always growing up was for baseball. Like there was in New York where we were out there, like one of the big leagues that we'd always join. The American Legion was the big baseball leagues back there, so it was fun to do. But never one of those things. And actually, like I don't know. I mean, this is probably the longest I've lived in one spot since getting out of the military.
Yeah, me too.
So maybe it might be time for me to join the Legion.
Yeah, there's one not far from here.
She's like, I can give you the exact same.
Post 171 in Westerville. Right. They would love to have you.
I guess I'm signed
Tom
up, guys.
Holden, if you're watching.
I'm in, I guess. No, what the heck? I'll do that for you. That's
okay.
We'll do that. We'll sign the card. We'll figure it out.
All right.
But let's digress a little bit. Let's go back to growing up. It's good to have a non-Ohio person on the podcast. So
is it?
Yeah, it actually is.
Let's poll the audience.
Everybody loves. I mean, give Ohio State a couple more weeks, they can lose a couple more, and maybe one more game.
There's that one day of the year. Yeah. It's debatable.
We're getting the number one from a lot of the fans here in the background about that. But no, but you grew up in Detroit, or born in Detroit, raised in the Detroit area. What's that like? Your parents work for Ford?
They did. How did you know?
I mean, I feel like a lot of people at that time were working for the big three, right? At the time.
Yeah. My dad worked for Ford, millwrights. I have a lot of skilled trade in my family, a lot of tin knockers, sheet metal, carpenters, millwrights, and
tin knocker. What's a tin knocker?
A tin knocker, that's sheet metal.
Okay,
that's what they call them.
I never heard that one before.
Yep, tin knockers, and millwrights and all that. So a lot of skilled trades, a lot of union. Yep. So. Everybody was, and you had to have an American car for sure. So I was not allowed to have a foreign car growing up.
Does that change at all? With the family?
Oh yeah. I still drive a Ford though. I have a Ford Explorer, so
I'm sorry.
It helps my mom's retirement. So
so both mom and dad, right?
Yeah. Yep. They both worked at Ford.
Yeah, because my old job, I used to go up to Ford. There was a Ford plant we went to, and I had a rental car, and that was the big thing. That the guy was like, "What kind of car do you have?" I think it was like a Nissan Sentra or something. He was like,
"You can't park.
You can't park here." So we parked like down the road, and this was shit.
Yeah.
The 2000s, like this wasn't like the early 2000s, and it was. I thought he was joking around. He literally met me at a restaurant. And he drove me on there.
Yeah, that's a big deal. You could not park in the parking lot there. Yeah.
No, I don't know. No, I think it might. I heard it's the same.
You couldn't park in the driveway either.
Your family was like, I can imagine that'd be a hard. But I love this Honda, Dad. It's so awesome.
I know, it's great on gas, and
that's a great. But so, any brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I have 2 older sisters and 2 younger brothers.
So right in the middle.
Yeah. My older sister lives in Las Vegas now. My other sister lives in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Beautiful. That's a beautiful place. Yeah. Vegas, it's all right.
I've never been to Vegas.
You've never been?
Yeah, it's one of the things where I was talking about the places I've been. I mean, for me, I'm not a gambler, so I don't know.
Me neither.
But like the food, I guess, would be good.
Hiking? Yeah. It's great to hike. Like Red Rock Canyon. Even if you go out to like the Grand Canyon, you can always stay in Vegas and drive out to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah,
that's
I've always wanted. I mean, eventually get out there. It's one of those
places. Hoover Dam. Yep. Lake Mead. That's always fun. Yep. Go see a show. That's always nice. Yeah. See, you don't have to get.
You might have changed my mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Someday. I mean, you got me to Legion now. I'm going to go to Vegas. I'm booking a ticket to Vegas after. So growing up, you the middle kid. Any childhood heroes you had at that time? Growing up, do you remember?
Wow. I don't know. Let me see. I think my grandmother was my childhood hero. Yeah. I loved my grandmother. Yeah.
What did you love about her?
She was just wonderful. She was just this awesome lady. She lived in Detroit, like in the heart of Detroit. We moved outside of Detroit to like the Mount Clemens, Harrison Township area in 1974. And she stayed like in the heart of Detroit. And so I'd stay with her every summer, most of the holidays every summer. And yeah, she was like my hero, you know, just this real loving lady. Yeah.
Is she born and raised in Detroit? Or?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. And my grandparents, they were immigrants. So my great grandparents, so her parents, my great grandfather was from Sweden. He came over and helped build the Ambassador Bridge that went from Detroit to Canada. And that is actually only one of 2 privately owned bridges that borders a foreign country. And then my great grandmother, she came from New Brunswick, Canada. So they were, you know, kind of poor immigrants. And so, yeah, but my grandmother was, yeah, I'd say she was my hero. Yeah.
So any history of military service before you decided to
yeah,
to do it?
my grandfather, he served in the Navy. Yep. And he was supposed to be on the USS Indianapolis, but he got in trouble and he was in the brig. This is the story he would tell me.
I mean, if you're gonna,
yeah.
It's always crazy when you hear those stories. Like I mean, that could have changed his life.
He had these Navy tattoos on his biceps, you know, on his forearms. And so he would, that he was supposed to be on that ship.
Did he have any guilt about that when he talked about it? Or was it more just like, thank God it wasn't me? Or
yeah, more or less that, you know, he would just kind of, when he would tell the story, it was always really surprising to him, you know? Yeah.
Like, it's not a great story. I don't know how many people, I don't know the exact numbers, but
yeah,
a lot of people went in the water.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't come out. Probably made famous by the movie Jaws. They talk about it. So yeah, it's definitely
he missed that call. So
and a great story about the Annapolis, because the mission they were on at the time was just a crazy story. But it's weird how.
Yeah.
Did he ever tell you what he got thrown in the brig for?
I don't think so. No.
Probably better not to know.
He got Parkinson's when I was kind of young. So yeah. So yeah. But
so what threw you into the I mean, growing up, what were you doing? Sports, anything?
I played volleyball.
Okay.
And I did a little bit of dance, you know. That's about it. I wasn't that, you know, that was about it in sports. And
what about school? Yeah. Interested in school or?
A little bit, not too much. Yeah. It was more or less completing, just finishing and moving on. Yeah. I worked. I worked a lot. So yeah, I just wanted to finish school and move on to other things.
So when did you know you wanted to join the Army?
As soon as I was done, but I waited. I kind of went in late, you know, I didn't go in till I was 22. So I was, making an attempt to go to college, and, actually it was, the first Gulf War that was 91. So I graduated 88. Then the first Gulf War happened, and, I was listening to that on the radio, and I remember I was in a class in school, and I remember listening to that, and it was over with, right? Like before it was over with so quickly before it even began. And so I was taking some more classes, and then it wasn't till 93 that I actually signed up for the military. And so really I was motivated by education. You know, I just wanted to get my education and serve my country. But I think education really motivated me to want to serve. So
the craziest thing about you is this is the joke that we have among a lot of veterans is you're the first one that was actually a cook in the Army that says they were a cook. You ever notice that there's like, you're the first cook that I mean, I saw plenty of cooks, but whenever you see them outside, there's never a veteran that's like, I was a cook. You're like, it's amazing. They never were, but like,
I was an airborne air assault
cook. I know. This is like, if you saw her picture, I was like, holy cow, she's not messing around. But what made you pick that MOS?
Well, I wanted to be an MP. That's what I really wanted to do. And they're like, you're too short, you know, and and they had this great bonus. And I had been working in the restaurant business, you know, for all throughout my teens, in my youth. And they're like, we have this $10,000 bonus. And I was like, sign me up. Like, this would be way too easy. I already know how to do this. And I think really because I was a female too, they're like, you'd be great at this. This would be wonderful. And then culinary arts. I was always really interested in the culinary arts too. So, but
$10K in 1993 is good money.
That was really good money. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big bonus back then. Yeah.
Yes. So I signed up for that. Yeah. And it was great. Actually, I really enjoyed it.
So you went to Fort Leonard Wood for basic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And
in June of 93, I went to Fort Leonard Wood. Yep. And I remember, I think it was like the second week there, 4th of July happened. And I was like, what did I do? But it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of, I was probably one of the older people there, but it was okay. I mean, we had a lot of 17-year-olds, because we had folks who were going to basic training in between their junior and senior years of high school.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like delayed entry?
Yes, delayed entry. We had a lot of that. So, but it was great. I really enjoyed it. And then I went to AIT, went from Fort Leonard Wood to Fort Lee, Virginia.
Yeah, we're going to use the old place names on this podcast.
Yes,
we don't,
okay, good.
We try not to honor the, I mean, there's certain ones that we don't like to say, but yeah,
Fort
Lee is not Fort Lee anymore, apparently, but I don't even know
now.
I can't even remember. It's awful. We're just going to call it Fort Lee.
Yeah,
we'll just
Fort Lee.
We're telling our story, your story. So
okay, good. That's what I remember it is.
Yeah, Fort Lee, yeah.
Yep. Which is home of the Quartermaster school. Yep, went there. And that's like 12 weeks long, I think. 12 or 16 weeks
Learn
long.
how to make the best food in all
Seriously.
in the world, right?
Yeah. The thing about being a cook is you didn't have to do KP duty.
Good point. I mean,
So in basic training, you quickly learn what KP duty was. But when you got to Fort Lee, you didn't have to do KP duty. So I was like, huh.
And I was wondering about Army food because you say, like, at the time, I guess because you're hungry when you had it, but I always felt like Army food was pretty good.
Well, the thing
I never had like a major complaint about it, but
the thing about the military and the food service is it was very specific, it was down to a science because, there's a cost to all that.
Yeah.
So all the recipes, like you had to follow the recipes to a T. I mean, obviously we didn't, right? But it was designed to. There were some areas that you could, throw in a little extra, but for the most part, I mean, it's all budgeted, right? And so, they're all designed to be prepared a very specific way for budget purposes.
So what was the rumor that went on for a long time when I was in the military was that you guys were putting saltpeter into all the food.
I know, right?
Is this a true thing? Or is this a true statement or no? Because that was always the rumor that they were putting it in there. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
I know
what it is. I always said it was bullshit, but everyone swore to God that's what was happening.
I always ended up in infantry, like supporting infantry units. So they would always ask us that.
You're like, what the hell are you idiots talking about?
We're just that's what we're putting in it.
I would love to know how that rumor even started. So it's a great.
I think that dates back to like World War II, probably.
Yeah, it probably does. I mean, but you wonder when that started. I mean, but everybody, I feel like that's always what they talked about. But
of course. It's always the tube. It's always a tube game.
That's right. It is actually. But I'm glad you didn't follow the recipes because I can't imagine what those recipes would have tasted like. My only complaint was spaghetti.
Bad.
My only complaint was like I feel like all you got was spaghetti a lot, and I'm not a spaghetti guy.
Well,
but when you're hungry enough, you will eat spaghetti.
Yeah, it's filling and it's cost effective.
And it's easy to burn in the saltpeter.
Ground
you can't
beef
taste it in that, right?
Is fairly reasonable. Yeah. The only thing I didn't appreciate though is like the meats, like all meats were grade D in the military. Like, yeah, all your meats were grade D. I don't really appreciate. I only ate chicken. I did not eat beef or pork. I only ate chicken in the military. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, but when I was in HHC XO, I had the cooks, and we were getting ready to do a log pack, trying to get all the food out, and they were making spaghetti.
Yeah.
And it was like a gigantic vat. It was an NTC.
Yeah.
Like the biggest cauldron of spaghetti noodles you've ever seen. They're trying to get it, like, getting it strained, and it falls over, and all the noodles fall onto like
on the floor.
Onto.
What are you talking about?
Right onto the ground, and you're like, oh my god! And everybody looking around. I'll never met the one of the mess sergeants was like, well, fucking get the good ones off the top. So they're like grabbing as much as they can off and just putting it in. And I'm just like, we don't have time to do anything else. They'll be fine. There's nothing, and then they're like, rinse it off again, like rinse them off again. And I was just like, I definitely don't like spaghetti, and I'm definitely not eating it tonight because it was like right in the Mojave Desert. So it was always, that's my.
Well, being in garrison is one thing. And like, I always supported infantry units. So being in garrison was few and far between. Like, you'd be in garrison for maybe 6 weeks. And then I was always in the field. So like the MKT, like I could take that thing apart blindfolded. So
it's funny that you brought that up, because I was trying to, I hadn't thought about that acronym in a long time until like I was looking, going to the bio last night. And I'm like, the old MKT. I mean, that was one of our, as an officer, we had to go inspect one and understand how to inspect it. And I was thinking like, I have no idea what any of this as a 22-year-old person, guy I'm supposed to be looking at. And I was just
they're pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty neat what it can do. I mean, it's pretty neat to get. What is it? What is it? Mobile?
It's a mobile kitchen trailer.
That's what I was looking at. I couldn't think of it last night. I didn't want to cheat.
Yeah. And they actually sell them now. They're up for sale. You can buy them. Yeah. And like the excess. Whatever.
Maybe that's like your side gig. You can throw one up quick. You can just throw.
Well, I told my husband, I'm like, we should go get one of those.
Like, he's like, for what? What do we?
We have like almost 2 acres. Like, I don't know. I just want one. Like, like you can feed a lot of people from. You're
gonna put it in the woods, and that's just
you could just put it in your backyard, and just like you could feed your whole family.
I mean, don't you have a kitchen for that? I mean, I feel like
they're just so much fun though. But you have M2 burners, and they're just really cool. You just you open the thing up and. Well, with everybody with campers these days, it's like a camper. It's a mobile kitchen trailer. It's no different than having a camper, but you just cook out of it. And
a really cool trailer drawn food truck.
Yeah. And then you just, it's like a food truck. Honestly, you could really turn it into a food truck. They're pretty cool. And then you just get your hose and they clean up really easy. So
spray it all off.
Seriously though. But we also used to do field conleys. So there's a field manual that that regulates like how you should set up your kitchen outside if you're in the field. For the food service section. And so it's by regulation. So it's a FM manual. And so we would compete. They actually have competitions. It's called field conley. And so you'd have competitions on how to set that up specifically. And so all the different units, we would all compete with each other. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah. We make all kinds of jokes, but it is kind of important the amount of people you're feeding, not following like proper food handling can make people
you could
sick.
Wipe out a whole unit.
Get people sick really fast.
Sure.
That's always the thing. I was like, all joking aside about cooks, there's certain things would happen that like, a mess sergeant or somebody be like, we're not doing that. And
did you ever eat tea rations?
I never had. I had one of my dad tea rations, but
like where they boil it.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I did or not. What's
they
the
have
old
these
ones? What's the
C rations? They had C rations and then tea rations.
No.
So tea rations were like in the metal tins, and then they boiled them, and then they
we probably didn't
use
have
a can
those.
opener.
It was like in the big
ground.
Yeah, the green. Like they said, I think we probably. I don't know. I forget what we had.
I
just thought we had shitty MREs.
Rations.
We just had shitty MREs.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the shittiest MREs known to mankind back then. But
I just found a box of MREs. Yeah.
Did you look at the date on them? I mean,
yeah.
Probably sell them on the internet now. People are trying to get those.
Well, I mean, you can get them anywhere now. You can get them at the
like
Army Navy surplus store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you leave Fort Lee. You're trained as some of the world's Army's best culinary experts, and you
I go to airborne school.
How did you pull that one?
First of 507. It was in my contract.
So you got a $10,000 bonus. You got to go to airborne school.
Yes.
All right. You were looking out for yourself. I like it.
Yeah. So I get on a bus and I go down to Fort Benning. Yeah. I'm supposed to be in Delta Company with these like 5 other people that I've been with, since Fort Lee. And I got my orders. So I'm going to Schofield. I'm going to Hawaii, right? So I already got my orders. And it's very specific. I got to be there like January something, right? So I only have so much time. And so I go down to Fort Benning, and I don't have my stamp. I don't have a stamp because you have to have a physical, right, to get into airborne school. So now I'm bumped out of Delta Company, but I have to, it's in my agreement. So the squeaky wheel always, gets the grease. So they send me halfway across the base. I got to walk there. So they send me to this doctor halfway across the base to get this stamp on my paperwork. So I'm like a week behind. It's the last class of 1993. And I'm in Charlie Company now. So I walk all the way across the base. I meet this doctor. He doesn't even look at me.
Exactly.
All he does is take this paperwork. I think he comes in on his day off, puts a stamp on it. Yeah. So I'm held over for another week. And so I get into Charlie Company, and there's probably about, I don't know, there's probably 6 or 7 of us females. And there ends up being 2 of us.
Yeah, there's I mean, those companies are pretty. Those companies are pretty big too. Probably over 100. I went there. I don't remember what they were. They're pretty large.
There's like 3. There's 3 squads in probably 3 platoons with probably 10 people in each squad, 10 or 12 in each squad.
I don't think that's probably like this.
Yeah,
it's a large classes.
Yep. Yeah.
So only three.
Only maybe 3 of us females made it. Yeah.
Did they have to give you like any kind of like lift shoes to reach the static line or anything? Being short like that? No, I'm good.
No.
You were too short to be an MP, but not too short to jump out of an airplane. Does
exactly.
That, like
yeah.
The mind of the military makes you wonder. That's
yes.
Like it was. When I was at Bragg, it was always
no
funny.
breaks.
Yeah, yeah. It was funny at Bragg. When I was at Bragg, we did a jump with the Germans. So like they jump with you, and then you jump in the aircraft. So they do all their stuff. And there's some female paratroopers, obviously, that we have female paratroopers. They don't at the time. Oh. And so there was a female paratrooper trying to like hook up to the static line on their version of the C-130,
right?
Which is kind of short. So this German jump master comes and pulls, just pulls that down as much static line and like grabs her static line and he hooks up and says, "This is why we don't have the female paratroopers in Germany." And she goes, "Fuck you." It was the best ever reaction of everything you've ever said. And everyone's like, "What are you talking about?" Like, and just, but yeah, that's just interesting about how the military was, you couldn't be an MP, but you can jump out of airplanes.
I know, right?
And then so you head to Hawaii, which is not an airborne unit. So that's pretty exciting to head there.
Yeah.
Being airborne qualified. Did you talk shit when you got there being airborne?
Not really.
Come on.
No.
Never?
No, but then they sent me to air assault school. I had a great sergeant major. Yeah. So, but I was a hard worker, man. I was a hustler. I could work circles around people, physically. I was a hard worker. So, but then they sent me to air assault school. So I'm a private, right? I'm a private airborne air assault. And so they gave me a waiver and promoted me to specialist within that first 18-month time frame. Yeah. So I had a great sergeant major. Yeah.
Yeah, but for the military, for like people that aren't listening, but they do, but like being, in a non-airborne unit with airborne air assault is kind of that's a
big deal for a female.
And being female at the time, it's even crazier. It's like, holy crap. Yeah. There's a lot of like,
like
a lot of badge envy going
feeding
on.
Infantry guys who can't even get that. You know what I mean?
How did she get that?
Exactly.
It's not even fair. You got on your whites, like, look at that. Get your spaghetti. Get the fuck out of here. No.
And I'm like, I can make like 20 omelets all at a time. I'm like,
that's crazy.
I loved it though. Yeah, it was good.
So how long in Hawaii? How'd you like Hawaii though? I mean,
I loved it. It was wonderful, beautiful, the most beautiful place ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I had a choice to do that, and I chose Fort Hood.
25th ID.
I had a choice to go to Fort Hood or to Hawaii.
Yeah.
But I'm complete with my mom. I'm not going to blame her anymore about
Okay.
it. But that was kind of regret that whole decision.
Yeah.
Because, Fort Drum, I mean, not Fort Drum, but, Fort Hood, definitely not Hawaii. I've been there a couple times. So kind of missed out on that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is what it is. Beautiful place.
Yeah. Hawaii was definitely beautiful. I remember getting there, and when you first arrive, if you've never been, you share the runway with the commercial airline, right? So you're flying in on like either Aloha Airlines usually, because you'll fly in from LA or somewhere on the West Coast. It's usually Aloha Airlines. And so you're sharing the runway with like F-16s and, all kinds of military aircraft. And it looks like you're going to land in the ocean. I mean, literally, because it's so short. And I was like, wow. And really, it's Fort Shafter right there in Hickam Air, not, is it? Yeah, Hickam Air Force Base. Yeah. And so I end up at Fort Shafter, and I'm like, wow, this is great. I could have stayed there, and I asked, I'm like, can I just stay here?
Can I never go back?
I was like, can I just stay here? And they're like, no, you're going north up to Schofield. I'm like, okay. So I was at Fort Shafter for like 2 days, and then went up to Schofield, which is like total World War II style, right? And if you've never been as well, like that's where Japan had flown over and had bombed Pearl Harbor. So they hit Schofield first when they flew over, because there's an ammunitions storage on the other side of that. So, a lot of the buildings still had like pieces of concrete, taken out of it. Like you could see like some of the wreckage that had happened in World War II. So just they really hadn't invested anything up there at Schofield at that time in the 90s. And it was pretty interesting. There were a lot of ghosts, let me tell you. A lot of ghosts.
Ah, what's your best ghost story though?
I will tell you that living in those barracks, like, a lot of ghosts. Yeah.
Like friendly ghosts?
Just weird. Just a lot of weird things happening, like paralyzing, like that would wake you up in the middle of the night. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen some things, man. Well, not just me, like everybody. What's the craziest thing? Everybody
what's
would
the craziest
thing
that happened to you?
Well, I would just wake up in the middle of the night. Somebody would walk into my room and stand at the end of my bed. And it was nobody, and I couldn't move, just absolutely frozen. And somebody was just standing there at the end of my bed. Like literally the door opening and somebody walking in, just standing at the end of my bed. Yeah.
I've been in the paranormal too. So,
oh my gosh, it was
Joe's gonna cry over
so
there.
Bizarre.
Joe's where we just had a conversation about this on Sunday about paranormal stuff. Joe, don't talk to Joe about it. He's still super scared.
Yeah. But the CQs were always like, everybody always complained about it. Like everybody in the whole barracks would always complain about it.
Yeah, see, all my experience, I think, were all friendly. That's how I have it. They were like nice.
Yeah, I mean, no one was ever harmed, but it was just
me,
like they just show up,
I'm happy to coexist with that, right?
Yeah. I feel a little like it's my space, but maybe it's their space and I'm in their space.
They could probably argue that. They could probably. That's an interesting argument out there. But just, I mean, then they start possessing. No, it's no. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I just had it. It's like I had some incidents at school, and I thought the library, which is a great story. Some things that happened, but I actually thought it was just friendly. We keep cohabitating. You're nice. Sure. I'm nice. You do your thing. I do my thing.
Yeah.
Okay with that. We don't need any exorcist stuff where like your head's spinning around.
No. But they definitely exist there. That's for sure.
Just remind me when we get off air, Joe's going to have to tell his story.
Okay.
We're going to make him tell his story about it.
All right.
He's got a good one.
Okay.
But so how long in Hawaii?
3 years.
For 3 years, you head back to the mainland to get out, or do you?
Nope. I stay in the National Guard, Michigan National Guard.
So big move going from active duty Army, Hawaii to the Michigan National Guard.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Night and day, honestly, because it was in Detroit, and so it was like, I was like, What?" Yeah. It was interesting. Yeah.
But it's also was it pre 9/11, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think we've
So
talked
this
about that
was
before.
90. So it was 96. I left, and December 25th of 96. That was my ETS date. So I had to report like December 26th of 96. So it was like in January 97 I showed up.
What made you jettison from active duty?
Well, I was married at the time, and my husband, he was from my hometown, and so he was like, he didn't want to continue and travel on active duty. Yeah. I did. I would have loved to have reenlisted and gone to Germany, or because we could have gone anywhere. It was one of those reenlistments where, they sit you down. They're like, "Where do you want to go?" You know what I mean? Anywhere you want to go. It's up to you. Yeah. Yep.
So head back. Yeah. And like the reason I brought up I think we've had some people on that were in the 9/11 National Guard reserves. It was a different time. I mean, like the kind of was just if you ran into those units, you were like, what the hell's going on? I was in a National Guard unit in Vermont, and I was like, didn't seem very much like the military all the time. So I know those things change. So what was the biggest challenge going from active to the Guard?
Yeah, and the Guard was a compromise. That was a compromise within my family at the time. It was like, okay, I still get what I want, and you get what you want. You know what I mean? Without having to give up, the military.
Right.
Yeah. So it was just different. It was so different, yeah, it was quite the adjustment. But then there was education.
Yeah, what were you doing? Yeah, what were you doing full time then? School?
Well, yeah, yep. So I utilized my GI Bill. I wanted to be a dietitian at the time to get my RD, registered dietitian. I'm gonna take a drink here. If you want to take a drink, you can.
Oh, it's drink time. Hold
on. You can drink.
She's controlling what I'm drinking, everybody.
Thank you.
She's got her coffee, her tea, her water. She's ready to go. Awesome.
Yeah.
So the goal was to be a dietitian?
The goal was to be a dietitian, yes. And so I was on that path, but chemistry kind of was not my strong suit. I quickly discovered. Yeah. I was more on the social psychology side. Yeah. I really tried. I really did. But
so what'd you pivot to after that, after chemistry got you? Like it got many people.
I went into the social side of education. Yeah. So
it was just all school? Were you working at all, or?
I was. Yeah, I was back in the restaurant business. I had a daughter. So my husband and I had a daughter. Yep. Noelle.
Any notable restaurants you're working at?
Nothing fancy. Yeah, nothing fancy. Just doing the mom thing. Doing the mom thing.
So did you have her before you got out on active duty?
I did. Okay. She was born in Hawaii. She was born at Tripler Army. Awesome. Yep. And it's I want to mention something for women too, because, part of, one of the things that we learn, at Save Warriors, we get into like that heroine's journey, and we, part of that journey is, that masculine feminine side, right? Like we abandon our feminine side and step into our masculine side, in the military. And when we abandon that feminine and get into our masculine, that part I began to thrive in, in the military, like being the airborne air assault, right? Like just working, being a hell of a worker, being a hell of a soldier, but that comes at a cost, right? And then having a child, right? Becoming pregnant, right? And then becoming a mom and having a child. Now I've got to balance these two things, right? And while still trying to be in this masculinity, that's acceptable, you know, in this culture, within this military culture that I'm getting rewarded for, right? And at the same time, trying to balance this family, right? And play this feminine part that isn't
your
as
husband
rewarding.
was in the military, right?
No, he was
So
not.
it's a
He
different
was
dynamic.
not. Yeah. So, you know, and then leaving that, actually having to like give that up. I didn't necessarily leave that. I had to compromise that, right?
So let's go back to that, because
Yeah.
I was glad you brought this up. So you have, just so people know, you're the service member. So
Yeah.
at the time, which, not to be, I don't want to take this the wrong way,
No,
because it's a different way to
please.
go.
That's
It's
okay.
not, it wasn't
Yeah.
very normal back
Yeah.
when we were because I was in the
Mhm.
Army the same time you were, where the wife was in the military.
Yeah.
It's usually a joint military, but it was very odd to have a wife that was in the
Yeah.
military, and then the husband who was, you know, the dependent.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have that, like you said, you're
Mhm.
you're like hard charging as, you know,
Yeah.
a soldier. You got to be a wife, you got to be
Yeah.
a mom. And at the time it definitely was, I still think it's probably the same way in the culture, is that culture doesn't really
Yeah.
like thrive on,
Yeah.
you know, the soft side of it.
Yes.
It's being that, you know, the warrior mentality. So like,
Mhm.
what was the hardest part for you, balancing all that, being like a soldier, being a mom, being a wife? Where did you have the most conflict in that?
The most conflict was not dominating in my marriage, right? Yes. Yeah, not dominating in my marriage, which I was totally dominating in my marriage, right? And probably just balancing that, right? Or just all the compromise, right? Demasculizing my spouse, right? Yeah. And yeah, definitely. And then having to compromise that as a result of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they have to believe in. I mean, how like,
because there was no support, because that's, you know, how do I say this? Because he didn't necessarily support me in that role, right? So he would rather see me pull away from that than have to support me in that.
Yeah, and it's interesting, because I think it's what's interesting about the story, and I love when we have the ladies on to talk about it, because it's a different perspective. But almost the same thing's going on from the normal, you know, male. I'm a male in the military. My wife's not. That same thing is happening, but it feels like when it comes time push and shove, we're able to, as a male, be like,
this is what's
suck
happening.
it up. This is what's happening. You don't have a choice in this. Where, you know, that's an interesting concept, because I still don't feel like it was that way. You're pretty much saying that's what it was. I had to still give up what I really wanted to compromise. And I think most of us, the guys, weren't doing that. We were just like,
yeah,
you're the wife, you're the dependent.
Yeah.
Either deal with it or get the fuck out. You know what I mean?
I would risk losing my child
Yeah.
as a result of it, right? So I had to compromise or risk losing my family. Yeah. If I were to choose that career and continue to go.
So there was a party that obviously wanted to continue.
Yeah. So I had to compromise. Like, I still got what I wanted with the military. Right. So that's why I went guard. So I was still able to do guard. I still remember that conversation with these two men, because I mean, parts of me were like, I'm just going to sign this paperwork, and I don't care what he says, you know, I'm just going to do it. And he'll just have to, you know what I mean?
He's either moving to Germany or his ass is going back to Detroit.
Right.
No.
I mean, I still remember that moment. And sometimes I think to myself, what would have happened if I just signed that paperwork?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or even more of like, I think this is a great conversation, or key, because I think this is still happening out there. It's guaranteed it's still happening in the military. I think the first key would be able to talk about these things, right? a lot of in these marriages that it wasn't the military marriage. Yeah, I know that one, but but I mean at the time, if
we
that
divorced
comes
in '99.
if you come up, but if you come up now, I think that's the big thing is talking about, and the same way you're talking about what those feelings you had to be able to put your feelings into words of how you're feeling and the things that you're compromising, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think a lot of the relationships would help a lot in the military with that, because it becomes that where that's what ends up happening. Either service member sacrifices, or they say, fuck it, you're going to do what I want to do. And a lot of times both those ways don't work out. I don't know what the exact rate, like divorce rate in the military, but it's
so high. It is so high. It's probably like, I would guess at least 75% divorce rate. And listen, when I say that we're divorced, that's not funny really. Cause that's, we were together for a really long time since we were kids, you know? And, he, and that was a long time relationship, a foundational relationship, you know?
That's always crazy. Cause like, you know, at the time, like I said, you know, we were in the military at the same time, and it was just a different, I hate to say it, there's like a different look on, like, I mean, the one question I have for this interesting is like, you look back then, like you couldn't be an MP because you were too short. When you went in, like women couldn't be in, you know, a ton of MOSs. Now it's like completely opened up. That must be like, what's your feeling on that, seeing that now? Like, what, you know, it's an interesting thing to me, because I look back and I'm like, wow, what a weird concept. There's times that we said, oh, if this ever happened, the military was going to fall apart. All these like stories, like the saltpeter stories, all these crazy things that were going to happen, but they didn't. You know what I mean? Everything's working pretty well.
The truth is, you know, when I went into the military, I was looking to get something out of the military. Like I was looking for an education. You know what I mean? So, and, you know,
$10,000.
Yeah. And I mean, that was unexpected, but I was really looking to get something out of it. So, in agency and advocacy, I really didn't have that for myself. Also being an adult child, you know what I mean? I mean, in the military for me, I mean, just taught me so much. Like, you know, there's a lot I didn't go into about my home either. You know what I mean? I left home at 17. Even though both my parents worked for Ford, whatever, I left home at 17, you know, and, you know, my childhood wasn't all that great, you know? And if I could have left sooner, I would have, you know, but, you know, I didn't have a lot of agency for myself then. I didn't have a lot of advocacy for myself. I didn't know what kind of questions to ask. I was like, I'll take it, you know.
I mean,
at 22, and I was surviving.
But you kind of killed it, though.
I was surviving. Yes, I killed it.
You kind of killed it pretty good. You got $10,000 bonus. You got an airborne airborne reenlistment, and you got to go to Hawaii. That's pretty good. I mean, if you'd have been armed with that, you might have been like, who knows after that.
If I had the right, you know, maybe, who knows, 1,000 things, you know, could have happened.
But I think everybody's like that, though. If you really think about it, that's a story. Like, I mean, it's always is like everybody's looking for something from it. I mean, as long as you have it, that's a transactional thing, because it really is.
Sure.
The military is 100% transactional. If you don't see that, I mean, it took me a long time to see that, but it's exactly what it is. You know what I mean? They're going to give you something. You're going to get something from it. It may not be what you want, but you're going to get something. They seem to get what they want most of the time.
They do.
Yeah, they win, which is fun.
They got a great soldier out of me. So, and I remember finding an LES when I was cleaning out some boxes, and I was like, holy cow, I lived on that. But I mean, you got housing, you got all your meals paid for, but it's astounding to look at, you know, what we were living off of.
I haven't even looked at the pay scale. It's still not that great, though. If you look at,
well, were you an officer?
I was, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Your pay scale,
but it still wasn't that great. I mean, like everyone's like whatever, but it wasn't. It's not. You know, when I look at what was going on, it wasn't like it was making money hand over fist. But you know, like we didn't get free uniforms. We didn't, you know, all the stuff that we had to, you know, we had to get our high interest rate car. You know what I mean? We had, no, I'm kidding. Like, no, all these things that all people do when they get in the military and make bad decisions. But so you head back, you're at school. Yeah. Working.
Yep.
Finally get your degree in 2011.
No. Well, yeah, 11. Yep. So I kind of, I got my degree in 2011. So in that time, lot of things happen in that time. I had a lot of things happen in my family, a lot of deaths, just a lot of things. 9/11 happens. I'm still in the Guard. I'm actually in an MP unit. I'm with the 144th MP unit out of Owasso. They actually, I was already transferring into back to 8 Mile. I had already been transferring back to 8 Mile. They end up going to DC. And I stayed with the unit on 8 Mile. And then in 04, I ended up going back to active duty with 10th Mountain. And my husband at the time, he went to Iraq. And then I go to Fort Drum, 10th Mountain, and I'm there in 04, 05. And then I come back to Detroit, and I'm just on a downward spiral myself. So I'm suffering with alcoholism myself. And yeah, so I get sober on November 1st. So
we were talking about this Friday's 10 years, right?
Yeah, 19 years.
19. Okay.
19 years on November 1st. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yep. Yeah. So Pours with Patriots with my tea. So
hey,
thank you. Listen, I
drink,
appreciate. Listen, this is never a
drink,
make wrong, and you know, I don't ever knock anybody else for ever enjoying spirits. Like if people can do it, more power to them. And you know, I'm just not one of those people, and that's okay. You know.
Yeah, we're talking about that off camera, and a lot of discussions we've had with when you get in the safe aware community, we all have isms, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, the alcoholism one for me was one I took a hard look at and look in it. But it's like, you know, we're talking like I've heard it more in the past month about it, but like I can have one drink and be like, I can half drink something and leave. So but it's always interesting. We talk to people that are like, I can't stop. And I was like, yeah. And I get that. And when you talk with that, it becomes that problem, but it's definitely like, you know, that
was it for me. It was like,
I mean, I've done times where I have, I mean, I didn't want to stop, but I mean, I can still like today be like, okay, do I need to drink this? And
I like the environment though. I like being out. I like the joy, you know, the celebratory, you know, the celebration. I do enjoy that.
Yeah, but for me, it's like I like the social part of like the small, like a group of people like this, not like a packed bar. Like I'm not like I've never was really into that scene. Was always crazy, but it's just more of like. But when you're like watching a game, hanging out around the fire, cooking, you know, group of people. But it is you know. Yeah, I'm glad I don't have that ism.
Yeah,
I have some other ones, but
yeah.
So the alcoholism that kicked you there, like, what do you want to talk more in detail about? What was going on for you, or we want to not talk about it?
Yeah, you know, it just.
Man, we don't have to. Man. That's a no, everybody. I had to shoot my shot. Come on, I mean,
I'll drink with you. Yeah, I think it was a lot of things. A lot of unmourned grief, really, is what it was. You know, I had a lot of things happen, and a lot of it really was that, you know, that masking up for so long, right? The adult child, you know, a lot of that formative trauma stuff that I had not ever really dealt with, right? MST, you know, military sexual traumas, and just a lot of things like that. Yeah.
Sorry,
I don't really. Yeah, me too. You know,
but it got you to where you are today.
Yeah. I had a brother, my youngest brother, James. He passed of a fentanyl overdose at 25. You know, it was accidental. So that was something that was really unexpected. And that was a Red Cross call, actually, while I was on active duty in 05. Yeah. so my dad died about a week after 9/11. He had multiple myeloma. So it was kind of difficult watching him deteriorate from that. My grandparents passed and just the whole core, like the family, divorce, family, and just, yeah. So just kind of a series of these things,
Yeah.
but unmourned grief, really, that's kind of what holds all that up. So, yeah.
That will do a number on you.
It will do a number on you. Yeah. Yep. So, yep. We just kind of run the rails, right?
Yeah, I mean,
we just cover it up.
That's a big one. And then the masking we talked about before, walking around, being a different, pretending to be a person you're not, or
yes,
starts to weigh on you for a long time. And then, I mean, like I said, I have my isms. I didn't go to alcohol, but some other things that happen. But
I did end up finishing school.
After all that, I mean, you still kept focused. You got your degree. Like it's a long. I got physiology, women and gender studies, and political. So there's like three different. Like
I got a double major in psychology, women and gender studies, and a minor in political science.
You're just kicking it.
Yeah, and then I got a master's in legal studies in nonprofit law. Yeah. Yeah.
So it is the University of Michigan. We just want to be clear that where you got your undergraduate from. So I know that's.
Yes.
I just want to throw it out. That is not the Ohio State.
Go Blue.
She's like, go Blue. No, not this year though. I mean.
Yeah.
You had a good run. I mean.
Yeah. Last year.
I mean, you put all the Ohio State fans, hurt their feelings for the past few years.
It felt so good to wear like a Michigan shirt this last year. It really did. Yeah.
You can still wear it though. You can just.
I know.
You can. I mean.
But listen, it was hard the 8 years prior to that. It was brutal.
Well, we moved here 10 years ago, so it's funny. Like I always knew like Ohio State kicking the shit out of Michigan and just all the shit. And then my wife actually jinxed Michigan one time because we were at my dad's house and Michigan was winning, and my wife's like, "Aren't they supposed to?" Comes in, "Aren't they supposed to lose to this team or whatever?" And then they came back, and so. But the past years have been good, for a non-Ohio State fan. But I have to be an Ohio State fan according to everybody in the room now because my youngest goes there now, so I have to be like, eh.
Well, we're a house divided.
Yeah.
So, so my husband went to Muskingum. He played football at Muskingum back when it was Muskingum College. I'm totally dating him. But his two kids went to Ohio State. And then, so I'm at Michigan. And then my daughter went to Wayne State in Detroit. So, but all his family, they're all Ohio State fans. So, yeah.
You don't have a good year for this year. It's going to be bad.
Well, I know. At least I feel like we have more of a level playing field this year. It's kind of nice to see like, a little bit of new on both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting though. The whole college football. I just like hating on Ohio State. That's my passion. So.
Okay.
I'm in the heart of it.
Well, now with the Big Ten expanded, we've got USC.
I'm going
Oregon,
on camera to say that Ohio State's gonna have 3 losses this year. It's gonna be very
okay.
They're all laughing. They're gonna lose to Penn State.
Okay.
I'm putting that on record.
All right.
And they're gonna end up losing in the champion. They're gonna be in the thing. $100. Oh, shit. Maybe we'll talk about a different bet, but I'll get a bet in there after.
Nope, $100. On camera.
I'm not a gambler. I want to take that. Let me think about it. I have time to think about it. I have a little bit. No, but I just like hating. It's just fun to get
good
because we're in the heart of Ohio State. For no one that's ever been here,
I'll join you.
Yeah. You're gonna split the $50 with me though if we take the bet.
I'll split it with you.
We'll do $100.
Okay.
$100.
Split it with you.
Yes. All right. Cool. So you graduate, you move, and so this is when your career starts moving into the veteran service organizations. You start getting pretty like super active with it.
Yeah, I graduated like May 1st, and Little Legion's like, "Will you come work for us?" Well, before they did, and I went to work for them on May 2nd. Yeah.
So for people that don't know, like what is the Legion's mission, the American Legion's mission?
So it's national security, veterans affairs and rehabilitation, Americanism, and children and youth. That's their 4 pillars.
Right.
Yeah.
And how does that differ from like the VFW?
Not much different. They're pretty much all the same. Yeah. Yeah.
Big difference between the VFW. You have to actually, what's the?
Well, the VFW membership is a little different. VFW, you have to have served in a foreign country during a time of war declared by Congress. Yeah. Yep. So the Legion, you just had to have served one day during active duty.
Okay.
Yep. In a wartime era.
So you one of your passions, I know, because I just know you from what you're doing. So we'll talk about the VSOs. Like what drew you so much to the VSOs? Because you've been in it for a long time, since 2011 is when you started formally working for them. You're still with them now,
advocating student veterans, just advocating. Yeah. And then I went to work for them. I learned how to do claims. Right. So they're like, will you come work for us? I'm like, okay. I was just a yes, and I worked for them in the federal building downtown in Detroit. And I just started helping people with their claims with the VA, which was really interesting, very eye-opening. So at that time, that was 2011. So this is during that time when veteran suicide was really starting to become, more exposed and an issue that is really being talked about. And then also a lot of the VA's issues, like Phoenix, that became exposed in like 2013, those waiting lists and whatnot. And so I learned how to do that, and which was life-changing to so many people. But just listening to people on the phone, especially when I first started, I was kind of advocating for the VA. So, veterans would call and they'd say, oh, the VA is just waiting for me to die, and I'd be like, come on, no, they're not, like,
they love you.
Why would they do that? And then all these things started happening. I'm not saying that the VA was waiting for them to do that. I love the VA. I use the VA, but from the veterans' perspective, I could understand why they were thinking that way. Right. And then all of a sudden, all these news stories started happening. And I was like, oh my gosh, like they're right. Like I can totally see why they were thinking that way. And so it just really shifted my advocacy for the veteran. And so I did that 11 and 12. And then I got the position here in Ohio.
So for doing the claims and stuff, that's something that just to people that are listening, the American Legion will do that for you. That's one of the roles of the American Legion that people don't know about. There's tons of companies out there that charge you for doing it now, but like the first thing I would look at is finding somebody like Suzette or the people that have been doing this a long time can probably help you.
I'm not accredited anymore. I've probably forgotten more than I've ever learned. I did it for a long time though. I was really good at it one time, but yeah, I would say find an accredited service officer. Yeah. In Ohio, go to the county veteran service office or, a VSO and a medical center or something.
Yeah, because it's a great place to start because, like I said, there's a lot of companies out there ready to take money from you to do it.
Sure.
They're effective, but check out the resources you have. There's a lot of great people in those organizations that can help and know what's going on. Yeah, but the time you started off is an interesting time too, because I look at I got off active duty in 2005, and my first experiences with the VA were, for lack of better terms, awful. Just because I felt like it was they weren't ready for what was happening, and just overwhelmed, and just didn't how to deal with some of the stuff that we were coming to them about. But I haven't been back to the VA since 2005. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. When my active duty, I went to the Guard, but I never went back after that. It was kind of a weird experience, but I promised my dad I'd go back to at least get hearing aids. Yeah. So
what?
I know that's coming. What? No, I hear perfect. That's fine. What? No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. A lot of people have different mixed feelings about the VA, but the VA's changed, I think.
They have changed a lot. And the American Legion has what's called a system worth saving program. And so for years, they have a team and they go around to probably 5 VA facilities in the nation for probably the last 30 years. And they inspect these facilities, like from top to bottom in all different areas. And so they report that to Congress and they recommend, different ways to improve that. And so they've been doing that for a long time. And those are really powerful visits that they do. And so, I mean, you can't hide. There's a lot of things you can't hide. You can only hide for so long. Do you know what I mean? And it's not that anybody's hiding, but it's just that if there is something awry, that maybe they don't know, or, something gets brought to light, it will get resolved. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of the improvements that have happened over the years is a result of these things that happen with these different veteran service organizations. They go in there, and they sit down and, kind of inspect these facilities with the leadership and ask them very pointed questions, I don't
think the organization has changed as well too. I mean, like I said before, I used to have a lot of, parts of me still don't like it, but I used to have a lot of blame and place some stupid things on, on that as being the reason, but it is what it is. I mean, things have happened. There's been, people that have been advocating for us. It's sad to hear that that's how people thought, but it has changed. I mean, everybody out here talking about the VA now, it's a different experience, especially in Columbus. I always hear great things about the Columbus VA.
That's why you need to be a member.
I know. I mean,
so
you already signed me up. I mean, I'm possibly out $100,
$40. No, it's only like $40.
No, I'm talking about, I got $50 in the bet,
right?
$40 on that. I
mean,
I got to take a day off to go to hearing aids. I'm getting making a lot of commitments here. I'm not ready for. But
they're the best decisions you'll ever make, though.
She's like, I already got that card ready for you, and we take Venmo. So you started off in Ohio. I mean, in Michigan, then had the Legion here in Ohio.
Yep. I became, I was the director of VA&R and legislative director here. And so we had 5 offices throughout the state, Cleveland, Dayton, Cincinnati, Columbus, and Toledo. And 6. I worked out of the state headquarters on 3637, the Legion headquarters there next to the Humane Society in Delaware. Yeah. So I did that for quite a few years. And then in 2018, I became the state adjutant. So I kind of ran the whole Legion in Ohio. Yeah. From 2018 to 2021. But we got charitable gaming modernized. We got that legislation passed in 2020. And then that went live in 2021.
Which is huge
that's a very big deal. Yeah. So it took us 10 years to get that modernized. So that was basically I know it doesn't sound like it should be a priority, but it really was. That was a really big deal for these Legion posts and VFWs and the Moose, Elks, Eagles, the Vets and Fraternals, because, these locations had a lot of unregulated gaming happening. And so there was a lot of theft that was happening. Yeah. So when it's unregulated, it's terrible.
No, betting going on there. No.
That gaming enters states that's unregulated, it's terrible. You got to get it regulated right away because people just steal, But when it's regulated, it's good because now there's accountability. So charitable gaming in Ohio went from 90 million to 900 million. That's a lot of revenue in Ohio. So yeah, it was a big deal.
And then so like for that revenue, like say you're an American Legion post or BFW post, like you're raising that money. Are they able to use that money and spend that money how they see fit? Some of
no, there's laws around that. Yeah. Okay. But they get to keep
within
portion
the law, but
of
are they able to use it within law, like donating to other functions and things like that? So
but the beauty of that,
I know they can't go buy a car or but I mean
they can donate. But it's not for for themselves. Right. Like they call that inurement. It can't be for any private use. But the beauty of that is a lot of posts were closing prior to this, unregulated gaming. So posts would close because they were stealing the money. But now, you see posts, they have a new parking lot. They've got a new roof. Their bar has been totally remodeled. They've got a new kitchen. They've got new stools, new tables, they're remodeled, like the AMVETS here in town. I don't know if you've been to that AMVETS lately. They do breakfast on on the weekends, on
Are you trying to make me
Saturdays and
bad about all the
Sundays.
veteran service organizations
It's
that I'm
got-
not involved in?
Well, there's a Legion, AMVETS, and a DAV
Yeah.
and that on, what's the name of that? Curtis? Is it Curtis?
Liberty.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there is one.
Yeah, it's over by,
Park and Curtis.
yeah, Park and Curtis. Yeah, that Legion, AMVETS post there, AMVETS, Legion, and DAV. Beautiful. They have a whole new patio outside, and all that's from the gaming money. I mean, but they're thriving, you know? And so they're a staple in the community, which is what they're meant to be.
Right.
You know, a place for the veterans to go. They can support their community, you know? So, yeah.
Well, congratulations on that.
Well,
That's
thank
huge.
you. Yeah. And
It's a
I
big
helped
deal.
implement that. I left the Legion and went to work for a charitable gaming company. Yeah. And help implement that all across the state of Ohio, also in Kentucky, in Virginia, Minnesota. Yeah. And so that was a big deal. So, yeah. Yep. And then that really wasn't filling my cup. So then I went to work for Save a Warrior.
Yeah. So before we get into that,
Yeah.
Saber Warrior, like when did you head to what cohort?
Well,
When'd you go?
I did a blended cohort, which is with 0031. That was in August of 2017. And I met Jay Clark in 16, and he came. I heard the radio segment. I sent them an email from the website, and within like 2 weeks, they were sitting in our library at state headquarters. Him and Teresa Rivera, and there was another guy, Mason. Was it Mason? Anyway, they were in our state headquarters, and we've just been friends ever since. And then the female program was paused at that time. And then in August of 17, he approached me about a female equine program that was happening in Bandera, Texas with cohort 0031. And so that's where I went. There was 5 of us who had went there. So I just kind of got lumped in with 0031. Yeah. Yep.
It's old school, the 00
I
numbers.
I know. 17.
Like an old timer.
I know.
It's changed. No more equine now, right?
No more equine, which is okay because I feel like equine really is something that you can find locally in your hometown, really. And you know, I think our program, the way the curriculum is designed, you know, you'll get what you need without the equine in our program. Yeah.
So we're talking about Saber Warrior. You got your Saber Warrior hat on right now.
Yeah.
Okay. What?
I have a shirt
Your shirt on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't have
and
a
your
hat
hat.
on.
We don't have your funny hat. So the question I asked, so you're the first
Yeah.
official person that's on staff that we've had on.
No, Larry Turner.
Larry Turner. I forgot.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true, Larry. I'm sorry, Larry. He's gonna beat me up on that.
Yeah.
So
it's okay.
I asked him that same question, but what kind of people come to Saber Warrior?
Ooh, good question. All kinds of people, but I would say people who are ready to be done suffering. Really, that's first and foremost. People who are ready to be done suffering, people who are ready to get their life back, people who are open to really just people who are ready to be done suffering. Yeah. And just open to a possibility of they don't know how or what or who or what's going to happen, but they're just open to a new possibility. Yeah. Yeah. And they've touched their grief just enough that, you know, it's just enough to go, okay, I can go there. Yeah. That whatever it is they're experiencing now, the grief that they touch just enough is better than whatever it is they're experiencing right now. Yeah.
Yeah, the done suffering is that's the key.
Yeah.
I think, and
yeah,
because I struggled. You know, I went at 50 years old, and I had a lot of guilt about why it took me so long. But in reality, if I were to look at it, like there was no way I was going to do any sooner because I wasn't done suffering. I had it all figured out.
I think,
I wasn't, I wasn't open to any possibility of my life being any different. It was just like, this is the way it's going to be. And I'll just, ride it out or not. Kind of interesting. But yeah, definitely being done suffering is a huge thing. Powerful.
I think we all get here when we're supposed to,
Sure.
We all get to save a warrior when we're supposed to.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff there's some stories that are some weird. I mean, there's always, if you don't believe in a higher power, there's always something that happens there that always makes you think about. Like I was there a couple weeks ago, as you know, and one of the gentlemen in the cohort left on day 0 5 years ago, came back 2 weeks ago. During that time, had a attempt on his life, and actually one of his cohort brothers was one of the first responders that responded to that. So they set 2 seats away from each other and ended up being roommates. That they, and all that happened right in the container. That's just, it's just a weird experience when you say, it's exactly what you said. You get there when you're supposed to get there, and like things when you hear that, you're just like, holy shit, there's definitely a higher power. There's definitely a reason that things happen, and I'm glad I got there when I did. I'll put it that way. So I'm happy with when I got there. I was done suffering, so not beat myself about that anymore. Let's talk about the program, because it is the second lady we had Meg Kelvington on. She was not with Save a Warrior, but you're actually part of it. One of the big things to talk about is, when you and I have been around some places here in Columbus, one of the big things Save a Warrior is for women also. That's a big thing that obviously that sometimes I don't think people know that. It's kind of interesting.
We've served 37% females in 2023. We went from like 23% to 25% to now 37% females.
So what will 24 or 2025 be like? Same amount?
Probably the same. Could increase to 40.
She's taking over. And an important thing about that is it's separate cohorts. That's a big thing to remember. Like the men go with the men, the women go with the women. So there's no blended, no co-ed or blended cohorts, which is, if people are thinking about that, the ladies out there, the men out there, it's definitely separated. Definitely, we're the same family, but a little bit different.
Right.
That's the way to put it. We have the hero's journey. You have the heroine's journey.
Right.
Interesting.
Right.
All the same, but
we're the place everyone's trying to get to.
Yeah, you're gonna start getting into terms. You're like, damn, she's bringing it up. The blue, they're the blue. They're the blue.
We're the place everyone's
if we start
trying to
talking
get
about
to.
that, people will get crazy about that. That's one of the things when you start bringing that up, people are like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?"
That's what Joseph Campbell said. You're already there. You're the place everyone's trying to get to.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's very true. So you talked about you were chugging along with the American Legion. You went over to the gaming thing. You're making big impacts, like you said. You're going from 90 million to 900 million profit. That money's going to great places. You just said that your cup wasn't full. What drove you to from just being a OG Saul alumni to actually deciding to work for Save a Warrior? What was the driving decision or force behind that?
Just knowing that what Saw is doing was just a bigger mission, and then Jake asking me like for the 10th time. But just knowing that it was just a bigger mission, and really knowing like that's really where I'm supposed to be. Yeah, for sure.
So why do you say it's a bigger mission? What do you mean by it's a bigger mission? What do you mean by that?
Well, I had been sponsoring women who had been coming through Save a Warrior anyway. And connecting with women who had been coming through, and then having, been exposed to the program as well, so, just knowing, that was the next step for me. Yeah. Just surrendering to that next step. Yeah.
Was there an apprehension?
Instead of trying, there was an apprehension. There really was.
What were you?
I think it was just that warrior, just that athlete warrior, like, always trying to achieve, trying to, I mean, I could have really had a really significant career in that gaming industry. I could have really, but I could see it's all black and red, and that it's all the cult of the culture. That's what that was, in that gaming industry. And I could see that just was not the path for me. Mm-hmm.
So now as the director of business development.
Yeah.
That's a cool title.
It is. I like it.
So what is that role?
Just a title.
What is that role? What does that role encompass for you?
I really think it's a lot of things, really. It's a lot of outreach. It's a lot of relationship building, networking. It's a lot of looking. Yes.
So how much of your VSO background helps with that?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Years and years and years of relationship building. Yeah.
Yeah, because everywhere I'm with you, like all of a sudden you'll be talking, and then like 17 people know you. Like they come out of a meeting, and there's like everybody knows.
Yeah.
You. It's like,
but it's all genuine, No,
I'm not saying but it's just they know you. It's a definite like. It's always crazy. The couple places we've been, we have a meeting, and like 50 people will come out, and they're all like Suzette, and everybody. You're like, I know that person. I know, I mean, just because your past history, I think that can only help with. It's
so funny how all of my experience has led me to where I am now, and just how everything, it's all for good. You know what I mean? And and just everybody I encounter, can somehow benefit from learning About Save a Warrior. So they have gaming money they have to give away. What better way, what better nonprofit to give it to than Save a Warrior? I mean, and if somebody out there who's listening to this doesn't know what we're doing, please, by all means, reach out to me, because I will personally give you a tour of Warrior Village. Like, we do some of the most incredible stuff. And if I haven't met you yet, you're just a friend who I just haven't met yet, and we really are doing just incredible things at that National Center of Excellence.
Yeah, it's an amazing place.
And we get to witness miracles happening all the time. And it's right here in Ohio. I mean, it's amazing. The veterans, and the Ohio first responders that are coming to us, and people who are really getting their lives back. We're not taking them fishing. We're not taking them hunting. I mean, we're really getting to the root of the matter. And those programs are great. They're great for like something after Save a Warrior, for that camaraderie and that unity and something to do, that equine after. But to really get, you really got to come face to face with what's underneath, first, in my opinion,
And now it's a complex PTS. That's kind of what it's made for. And they have to change it now. It's not formative trauma, developmental trauma. Back to again, they keep changing it back.
Okay.
And then moral injury. So if those, if those two things have touched your life, Save a Warrior is the place for you.
And maybe you know somebody who could benefit from this. And
one of the big things about it is we talked about a little bit, but we can stay on it because I love talking about it as well. I'm like, you're kind of my boss because as an ambassador on it as well. But I do work for
Not
you.
really.
No, that's kind of joking around. But the big thing to remember is one of the craziest things about Salt people don't understand is it's not transactional with the Warrior that goes there. It's completely free. There's not, a week later, someone's hitting you up, a month later, a year later, it's this, the organization wants nothing but, healing for that person. So that's a big thing. With that comes obviously the most important part of what you do and what why I signed up to do is to raise money for Save a Warrior, to pay it forward, to be able that people can can
non-transactional.
Yeah, that's an important thing. So a lot of people that are out there that are listening, if you're thinking about it, it doesn't, if you're worried about not having money, that's not, you just got to get yourself to
just get there.
Warrior Village. And if it's anybody local here, that the community is huge, I'm sure somebody can get you there if you really want to go. So that's an important thing to remember. There's no money exchanges hands. So like Suzette said, if you're not aware of what Save a Warrior is doing, definitely reach out to her. She's on the web. You can find her pretty easy on the website. We'll post something on the page like we always do, but yeah, go down and see it. It's an amazing place.
I'll personally host you. Yeah.
Yeah. And why don't you talk about the property itself, a little bit about the property?
Yeah, it's 350 acres. It's named after Staff Sergeant Dick Wood, who was a World War II veteran. He flew like 19 missions in World War II or 40 some missions as a 19-year-old. Can you imagine that? He turns 98, I think, 97 or 98 next month. That's incredible. Yeah. So we named the property after him. 350 acres. We have Lake Loma. We have the National Center of Excellence. It's a 14, actually, I don't know how many square feet that building is, but it's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have the National Center of Excellence. We have 2 lodges on the property that houses roughly 25 people, but it'll house 9 warriors in each lodge with the shepherds. So we have the labyrinth, we have the welcome center, the parking lot, and it's just it's so peaceful there. As soon as you step on the property, like you just know that there's just something really special and healing about the place.
And the property is pretty special in the fact that it was donated.
Yeah, it was donated.
Yep.
A very generous man from Columbus gifted that property to us. He bought it out of his own dynasty trust to gift it to us it was a friend of Dick Wood's. And he's just a very generous man. Yep. And that was in 2020. And the National Center of Excellence has been open since late 2021. So, yep, that place came up out of the mud, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, from the trunk of Jake's car to...
Yeah, out of the trunk of Jake's car. From a Pond wristwatch, a Pond Rolex. Yeah.
It's crazy. It is a special place. But if you've never seen it, I mean, one of the big things for me that hit home is, when they talked about it was, who would donate something like this to people they don't know, and all the people that come back for it as well. It's a huge thing. So if you're interested in it, obviously for the donation part, that is important to get the business part out of the way. Definitely get a hold of Suzette. There's other people you can talk to, other ambassadors that are out there. You'll see them, talk to them. You can get down there and see it yourself. But
you can go to saveawarrior.org/donate, or you can find me on the website. Yeah, I'm not hard to find. I'm pretty easy to find.
But she's all over the place. And then and it's interesting here. And one of the things that qualifies. So who the big part about it is the most, I don't want to say the most important, but it's for all those warriors that are out there that are struggling, the warrior class. If you suffer, even if you don't, if you're not sure if you suffer from developmental trauma, just go, do the application, submit it.
Yep. Have the rostering.
Yeah. And they'll dive into it to make sure that you are the right candidate for it, if that's the right way to put it. But you definitely, if you're struggling, if things aren't working for you, because there's a lot of us that were out there, there are a lot out there still. If it's not, just have the courage to go to the website, fill out the application, submit it, and see what happens. So
and on that application on the website too, don't be discouraged by there's a lot of things like 12-step things on there. So if you don't think you're an alcoholic, or if you don't think you have a problem with drugs or alcohol, don't be discouraged by that. Just keep scrolling down and go down to the application, because there are people who do struggle with that because that's the cover up, right?
Right.
And so don't think that, well, that's not me, so this program must not be for me, right? So, but that is for some people. And so that's just kind of, we have a sponsorship program where we help some people stay sober, because you have to be sober to be able to hear the conversation. What it is a really long conversation. It's a 72-hour conversation that, you've been looking for your whole life. You just didn't know, and it's the most important conversation you'll ever have. And so when you go to that application, just kind of scroll down to the bottom. If the top part doesn't apply to you, go down and just start the application process and just fill it out, and then hit submit, and just have the rostering call and just see what comes up. What do you have to lose?
Your life. That's what you have to lose. Yeah,
exactly.
That's what's at risk here for.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for.
Yeah.
I think everybody that gets a seat there, that's where it's heading. Either like actively taking your life, or like for me, the long suicide where I just didn't give a fuck anymore. And
or that long drawn out suffering of just like continuing to do the same things over and over and over, and like trying to figure out why, what is going on here, that insanity. Yeah.
An important thing to remember: open to all veterans, active veterans,
active duty
veterans, also any type of veteran, any service, right?
Yep. Any service, any discharge.
Right.
Yep.
Any discharge, meaning could you have a dishonorable discharge still? Okay.
Yep. Yep.
That's a big thing. So
that's
a big thing to remember. So there's a lot of things that if you have that type of discharge, you're not getting some help in other places.
Some people can't be helped at the VA because of that. Yeah.
And then as far as law enforcement goes, open to you can take over from this, because I'm not.
Yeah, it's Ohio 100%. First responders.
And then, but we do give them out of state as well. That's all
we do. Yeah. We have relationships with certain states and certain agencies. Yeah, and then out of state just depends on if the agency is going to pay for them to go. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. We don't transact with the warrior, but if the agency agrees to pay for them, and we have the space for them.
Yeah, and that is happening. Believe it or not. I mean, I think we had.
Yeah.
So that's happening. So this is, obviously we have a big, the cult, the Columbus area is big on it. There's a lot of people, that know Save a Warrior here, but when you sit in the cohorts, especially when you go back as when you're not in the container as your initial cohort, you start to see where everybody's coming from, and that the word is starting to spread that this isn't just some crazy thing that's happening in Hillsborough, Ohio, that it's having an impact on a lot of warriors across the United States, and a lot of doctors and a lot of organizations are like, okay, this works, because they're seeing what's happening with the people that are going through. Yeah. So it's a big thing, but again, really important to non-transactional with the warrior. I think a lot of people still worry about that, because there are a lot of places that claim to help, but what they want to help you, you got to give them the money.
Yeah. So. And if you're a clinical psychologist, or if you're a mental health professional at the VA, you're welcome to come and sit in the back of the room and witness.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing, especially. A couple of guests of mine, Dr. Brian, him and I talked about that, later on next year. Hopefully it's going to go down there, because he's got, he's one of the guys that if you listen to the podcast, he's big on trying to change what's, how we've been, the cookie cutter way of dealing with, suicide, especially veteran suicide, but definitely something you need to see. And if you are in that profession, you definitely need to go down and see the amazing miracle that's happening. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And it might change your approach on how you're dealing with warriors, anybody else. So
clients.
Clients. Anybody.
Yeah.
So. That's right. Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Saw UK.
Saw UK just kicked off last week.
The Discover cohort. Yeah. They launched
middle of the week, though. I thought that was an interesting. Didn't they do that?
They did. I think there was a reason for that. I know it was Adam Gornall's birthday.
Okay.
I was on the last day, I think. Yeah. But They have.
So do you know how many cohorts they plan on doing? Are they already ready to rock and roll?
I don't. I know that was the first one. So
I think it was what, eight guys.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
all the way
it's
across.
pretty
the
powerful,
pond.
all the way across the pond.
I get one of those shirts.
Yeah,
I missed
I
out
know.
on. I missed out on the UK.
That's what they
soft
said.
Shirts. Yeah, I was like I missed out on
if
that
you
one.
were going to sell those shirts, there's a lot of people who would buy them.
I get one of those. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talking about so the times are changing with the VSOs. Like, what do you think is the biggest? I mean, you were in that world for a long time, and you kind of still are.
Yeah, I am.
Like, what do you think are the biggest challenges that are facing the VSOs right now? Like the VFW, American Legion, FOE. What do you think's the
the
challenge
FOE
now?
is growing tremendously because the FOE can take anybody. You don't have to be a veteran.
Yeah.
There's a lot of veterans in the FOE, but like the Eagles in Sunbury, holy cow! That's my Eagle area. 3614, I think it is. Yeah, they're huge. The FOE here in Delaware, they're really large Eagle area as well. But Eagles, Moose, they have no problem with membership. Now, the veteran service organizations, definitely. I think what their biggest challenge is, obviously attrition, right? So you have less people joining the military and you have a higher rate of attrition. So, and then you just have people that don't necessarily feel like it's necessary to join a VSO, or if they do join, they don't have time to get involved.
Right.
So some people just don't see the value of being a member, and just being a dues paying member, where being a dues paying member is really important because that helps fuel the advocacy at the national level, because we're congressionally chartered. So Legion, AMVETS, and VFW and DAV, we're all congressionally chartered. DAV is a 501c8, I think. They're like a C4, C8, C4, I think. They're a social welfare organization. Whereas the Legion, VFW, and AMVETS were C19. So, but we're congressionally chartered by Congress. So we have to report to Congress every year. So, we have to report. And therefore, our goal is to advocate. So, we have a duty to report to Congress what's happening in the veteran space. And so it's really important, that those membership dues are important because we promote a lot of change at the national level, at the federal level. And we promote and we deter a lot of change as well. So if not for the VSOs, I can tell you that there are many times that our benefits that we get would not be what they are today if not for the VSOs. And, even into the future, they would be at risk for sure. If we didn't have the members that we had. So, having that membership as a voice, you're a voice, being represented in Congress. But the less that voice is, the less we're represented.
Right.
And the less we're represented, then the less relevant we are.
Yeah, I think that's a powerful way to put it because I look at it kind of a different way. To me, it's kind of like a social place to go. And like you said before, having time. So I can see how, have time to changes to connect with other veterans. You don't need to go, to a lodge, or you don't need to go to a building. You can get on, the Facebook, and there's other ways to get a hold of organizations now. So you wonder that, it's, there's more to it than just the social part of it.
Yes.
And I'm guilty as charged. I really kind of never dug into really what the, American Legion can do for me. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, if you're out there, I mean, it definitely is an organizations that you do see. Like when I was getting out, it was like, that's where all the old people went to hang out.
Sure.
And like I said before, like for me, it was like, if you didn't want to go hang out in a lot of the places weren't, like you said, the best kept places. So you go in there and it was like beer and like a hot dog out of a crock pot. I mean, the times have changed. I mean, obviously they're doing better things than
They're still doing hot dogs out of a crock pot.
how happy did I sound about that? Like, I'm not eating out of that. I mean, but I don't know if that came out right. Not that I have anything against that. No, but you know what I mean? It has changed. To me, that's what I always thought about too, is like, where do you put your time and your energy? And there's so many organizations out there that you can, as a veteran, go and help provide support to what you're doing. You know, like you just talked about, equine, all this other things, but like those are organizations that when you do dive into them, they are doing a lot more than just that. They're actually advocating for what we need. Like, not until recently, about like 5 years ago, did I know that you could use the American Legion to get help you with the claims and stuff like that. I had no idea they were doing that. So I don't know if that's, not faulting the organization, but I don't think that word always gets out about what they're doing. It's kind of a behind the scenes, but definitely you've already got me hooked. I'll sign my card tonight. But if you're a veteran, find your local American Legion or VFW, join them.
Just go to legion.org and become a member. Just sign up right online. You can get your own account right online, and you can put your credit card in there. And so every year it just renews.
Whoa.
Every July it'll just renew.
What
it's
are
like
the fees?
$40.
I'm talking that $900 million gaming. They're rolling in the bucks.
Yeah. It's too easy,
So for a VSO like the American Legion, how much of their is the American Legion, like, say for Ohio, if you know this answer, I may not be asking this the right way, but how much of that is going back to other veteran, like the money there is, and what percentage of that money is going back to other veteran organizations like Save a Warrior or other places like that? Are they
from the membership dues,
or for everything? The money they're making from.
Well, from the membership dues, $9 is going to the department.
Okay.
So whatever you pay in your membership dues, National is keeping $23.50. $9 is going to department, and then the rest goes to the post. Yeah, whatever post you belong to.
How many members in the American Legion? Do you know?
In Ohio, there's approximately about 80,000. There used to be about 150,000. Yeah, there used to be a lot.
When was that?
Well, when I came here in 2013, there was 118,000 members. So there's probably a little less than 80,000 right now. Yeah, so that tells you how quickly it's declining.
And I mean, that's obviously age of people leave. I mean, and the importance of what it was. And like I said before, maybe it's one of those things, like, it's definitely, like I said before, no joke aside, it was like the old timers that you went to hang out with. And,
and there
sometimes that was good. Sometimes I have an old timer I can hang out with my dad. So like, I feel like I didn't need to go down and get, a beer and crock pot hot dog. I could just hang out with my dad.
Right. He just signed you in as a guest.
Oh, that'd be good. So what has to change for that number to go up? What do veterans now? I mean, other than signing up, what could the VSOs do to help get those numbers jacked back up? What do you think's lacking on their part?
I don't think there's anything more that they could do. I think it's a personal responsibility of the veteran. I think the VSOs have probably done, other than asking people to sign up, it's just a personal responsibility of the veteran. That when they get asked to sign up or when they get told about the VSOs, they just have to go sign up. That's it. Just sign up.
I'm already signed up. I feel like you're talking to me. Okay. I got the personal responsibility. I've messed that one up. I got it now. I'm already on my phone. What was that website?
Legion.org.
I got to go to anyone in the that's crazy.
But
So we covered VSOs.
Yeah, we covered VSOs.
We're almost done with Save a Warrior.
Yes.
Got another
covered sobriety.
Question. What's that? Covered
sobriety.
9 years on the first.
Yeah. 19.
19. I'm sorry, 19.
Yes, 19 years on the first.
So any big plans for we hit 20? I mean, any?
No,
nothing.
Just another day.
Just another day.
Yeah. My project's almost finished on my house. It's getting closer. It's not almost finished. It's probably about 55%. Yeah, maybe 60.
When do you hope to have that done?
Oh gosh, 2025. I'm hoping to have at least 80% done.
Wow. So you're not committed to be it done next year?
Yeah. Well, I would, but it's unrealistic. We're trying to not finance anything.
Okay.
So yeah, trying to play it smart. Yeah, sacrifice.
What do you're doing extension? You're expanding the house, right?
Yeah, we did.
How many square feet you adding?
A lot. Probably too much.
Like
there's only 2 of us.
Yeah, we just expanded 4,000 square feet.
Yeah.
But they can always come back. You never know. You never know.
Yeah. It's not likely, but I don't know. Well, his son's in Iowa and my daughter's in Michigan. So you never know.
You never know.
Mm-hmm.
So question on mental health.
Mm-hmm.
With all the focus, organizations like Saber Warrior, everything that's going on, there's tons of organizations, even like ourselves. When it comes to veteran or the world class mental health, in your opinion, what isn't being done that needs to be done to address
There's plenty enough awareness. Yeah, there's plenty enough awareness. I think it just goes back to personal responsibility. I think we all as individuals just have a personal responsibility to get outside of ourselves in a sense, and check on other people. You know what I'm saying? Like really look around in our circle of people and reach out to somebody we haven't heard from or seen, or loneliness. The U.S. Surgeon General did a study on loneliness. And did you know that loneliness is can be attributed to like smoking like a pack of cigarettes a day? Like the health risk of loneliness is insane. There was just this new study that came out. And so just the effect of that is just unbelievable on our health, So I think it's so easy to isolate. And so I think it's just really important as an individual, like to really just think about, who's in our circle, and where, who have we seen, who have we not seen, and think about other people, Yeah, I think it's just really personal responsibility in a sense.
Yeah, you definitely, the awareness that's what's crazy about this is the awareness is like probably the highest it's ever been. The past few years about everybody talking about it, and organizations like 22 a day, and like they see all these things that happen. But I have it as like the one thing is I think it kind of ties what you said is like the stigma, right, of not being okay, right? I think that's a big thing. Is that's got to get broken. Of it's okay to not be okay. Like there's so many people that like that's, and it ties into all those things of like, why you're, isolating. Like it's just like you said, have that personal, courage, the personal responsibility to talk to somebody, and you'll find out as soon as you start talking to people that, I don't have it. You have to be through Save a Warrior, but there's people that are out there that know what, they're not walking around wearing masks.
Yeah.
But they're going to be honest with you. And that's the big thing too. So, since I've, pre-saw, like, there's some things I didn't talk about with people. Now I feel like it's an obligation to talk about, to break the stigma, to be like, hey man, like I can't tell you how many times I wanted to just drive 110 miles an hour and just fucking burn into a bridge. And like, people, it's uncomfortable for people to hear, to some people, but for me, I don't care anymore, because it has to be something that has to be, that has to be said out there to be like, holy shit. Like I'm not the only person has those thoughts go through my mind. Like how are you dealing with it? That's just start the conversation. I think that's the big thing. I think that there's so much awareness about it, but there's still that thing of like, so many people are so afraid to just be like, I'm not doing well, or afraid even to have somebody in their family that's not doing well either. Like it's okay. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah,
it really is. And it's not a, it's not a death sentence unless you don't do anything about it. That's how I have it, you know, because the way I felt when I finally, like you said, you know, when my time was my time to get there and I was done suffering, like I don't have those thoughts anymore. I don't even think about, you know, that's not even an option anymore. It's just, it's a different way of thinking, you know? So breaking the stigma and not being like, you'd be surprised how many people are suffering the same way you are with the same things. It's so shocking. That's what's so crazy about the community we're in now is like, if you start talking for, you know, 10 minutes, all of a sudden you're like, wow, well, you know, we say, you probably heard us say like, me too. We said it's so nuts. It's like, holy cow, like this, wow. I thought I was the only person that happened to, or, you know, that's the only person that's feeling the way. And you're like, holy cow, you know, and it is that conversation about, you know, what are you doing? Like that's helping, you know, it's not a cookie cutter way. I see it, but, you know, talking to somebody and figuring out what's working for them. It's key. But yeah, I am fascinated with, I'm fascinated is what word, but I guess I am fascinated also, like discouraged about how much awareness is out there, but the numbers just are not, it's not improving. So something has to be, you know, changed. That's why I started asking that question for people that are coming on that, you know, I think places like Saw are key. Yeah.
Community.
Yeah.
We get in on community. Yeah. Because, you know, I don't know. It's not some government agency's responsibility to save me. You know what I mean? And
true.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people in this country feel like, or have it that it's always somebody else's responsibility.
Yeah. The VA, my wife, my kids, my friends.
Exactly.
100%.
You know, and it's not that, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting that, like, that's funny you say that when you have the conversations about that's exactly how I thought it was. You know, I was for the longest time, I thought it was my wife's responsibility to make me happy, or it was my, you know, the reason I don't talk to anybody who was a shitty therapist that I talked to in, you know, 03 or whatever. But yeah, a lot of other non-personal accountability of like, holy shit, I'm the one that's causing my problems. And I'm the only one that can really fix it. Which is a hard pill to swallow. For many people, but it'll go down. That pill will go down. Water helps. I'm just fascinated about that number. I mean, and the big thing about the back to say war, the community, bring the word community, like one of the things about once you do leave, it's not like they just Save a Warrior just kicks you to the curb and you're on your own.
No,
it's a huge community that you fall into. That's a pretty strong community. And it's changing as we go. The new cohorts even have it. I like to say, like, it gets back to the military stuff a little bit easier to connect with the new virtual container. But yeah, I mean, it's a community that's there. I mean, that's the big thing that a lot of people don't believe. It's like, I do this thing for 72 hours and I'm back on my own. It's nothing like that, man. This is one of the true places where I know that if I call people are going to answer the phone. If they don't answer the phone, they're going to get back to you. But it's definitely
and you have that text group too, right? Of all your cohort brothers, right?
Yeah, which sometimes goes quiet.
Yeah, it does.
But it's all right. It's always there. Yeah, but I mean, it's a community that's really there. I mean, you don't leave. That's a big thing about it is, if we're still talking about Save a Warrior, it's not just 72 hours. It turns into a 500-day program. A lot of things you're doing to do that. But it's definitely
the online meetings too that you can get in on.
Yeah, there's probably like if you look at there's something going on every night.
There's 35 online meetings
a week.
Yep. Whether it be AA, ACOA, laundry list workbook. Yep.
Does that count the cohort? That's not counting the cohort calls. Yeah. So that's another thing too. Like our cohort, those guys just got out. They have 2 calls a week. So that's a lot of opportunity to connect. And if you're not doing well, to talk to fellow alumni.
Yep.
Anything else you want to talk about Save a Warrior? That's it?
Yeah. I don't know. Like nothing else, nothing comes up right now. Yeah.
When are you heading back?
I'll be there on the 1st for the opening of the female alumni intensive. Yeah. Yeah. On my anniversary, actually. Yeah. I'm so excited. I
Anniversary of
my sobriety
okay.
anniversary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'll be down there. It'll be exciting. So yeah.
So is that the
Um,
last cohort for the year?
there's one more male cohort and a male intensive. Yep. And then in December we go dark. Yeah. Everybody kind of refits and yep. And then come January, it's on.
So
Yeah.
to reiterate about Saber Warrior, if they want it, if you have money in your pocket and it's burning,
yes,
and you want
it's
to
towards
put
the-
it towards a great organization, you need to talk to Suzette.
Yes,
She
please.
will take that money and make sure it goes to a
Yes.
good cause.
And also, you know, tax time is coming. So if you have any kind of investments that you don't want to pay taxes on, by all means, we'd be happy to take those investments off your hands for you. Please reach out to me. I'm happy to share with you how we can make that happen.
All you need to do is give a credit card. No, that reoccurring.
Remember the 700 Club?
No, but it is a
You're
big
fine.
thing, like I said before.
Yeah.
And this is important. We're joking about the money, but it's absolutely paramount for how this organization works. And I think is one of the
It
greatest
is.
things about it is that
Yeah.
there's no transaction between the people that need the help,
Yes.
and that's a real barrier for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That if you have been in the conversation, you know what we're talking about, because there's a lot of distrust of things like that. So, you know, they're always, you know, for me, I was worried about what everybody wanted from me.
Oh, I know what I wanted to mention. Veteran employment resource groups. I think those are really key. Like in 2025, excuse me, we're really looking to connect with those Verge groups because lately, some of the Verge groups that we've been connecting with, we've discovered that people have reported that there's been some suicides that have occurred. Like people have gone home on Friday, right? Come back on Monday, so and so committed suicide, right? And so, that's unnecessary. So if we would love to be a resource for Verge groups and Merge groups, and so we really want to connect with those groups, especially in Ohio, and let people know that we're a resource here. So we would love to have these Verge groups come to Warrior Village and give them a personal tour and show them, where we are, and that we're a resource available. Because, if it's a prevention, if someone's even thinking about it, and there's a possibility that we could be an alternative to that, that's 135 people that wouldn't have to experience, the fallout from that, because it's 135 people who are affected by one suicide. So
I've never heard that number before.
Yeah, 135 people. So imagine somebody comes through our program, right? So you go back out into your community. So if 135 people can be affected by somebody who takes their life, imagine how you can affect 135 people in your community by your connectedness, right? By your transformation, by your joy, by your peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By being present and
yeah. Yeah.
Huge.
Yep. The ripple effect of that.
Well, it does happen. It's crazy. It's crazy to witness. That's another miracle to watch as well.
Sure.
Yeah, but like the big thing about that money, we covered that. We covered the professional folks. If you're out there, if you're interested in Saber Warrior, get with Suzette. She'll take you on a personal tour. Then it's going to change your life as well, and hopefully change your clients' lives as well too. So definitely do that. I think we covered that. Saber Warrior, right?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, me too.
We got another fun question for you.
Me too. What's that?
If you could write any book, what would it be?
What not to do.
I already read that book. Nah.
What
Could you
not
imagine
to
the novel you
do?
could put together? First thing,
It's
not write this book would be the first novel.
Yeah. 100 tips, tools, and tricks on what not to do.
Only
No.
100 though? No.
Yeah. Seriously, what
That'd be
not to do. That would be it. Avoid these things at all costs.
That'd be the first few pages would be like,
No, but
this
that
may
would-
have been,
that
these
would
may
be
have been
enabling.
my own personal choices, but it could have been a friend of a friend who did this, but we're not going to dive into it.
That would be enabling, though, I think. So I think people need to you got to make your own mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're all hardwired for struggle. And, that's how we, it's how we're shaped in a sense. It's how our character is kind of defined and crafted and molded. Yeah. So.
I think the conversation helps you see that instead of it being a reason to have a bunch of agony and pain and shame. You now just look at it as that's what happened, and it's put me.
That's what my book would be. That's what happened.
Just trying to steal my title now. No,
that's what happened.
I'm still trying.
Here's
to finish
the deal.
I'm still trying to finish the book. I just finished the book you had me reading by Richard Gannon. What was it? The Cult of One.
Cult of One. That was so good.
I mean, you were telling me I think you liked it because his accent, the British accent.
I
too.
do.
Like, you were like, the British
audio is really good.
That's what I did. That's what I listened to. I just finished it up. Good book.
Really good book. Yeah, I agree. We're reading Shoe Dog. Phil Knight, Shoe Dog. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is a really great book.
I have to finish the 5 other audiobooks I have right now because I didn't notice when I was finishing it yesterday.
I have like a dozen.
They're through it, and I got a good chunk out of them, but I'm like, there's like 38 minutes left on one, like 42 minutes on the other.
Me too.
And I'm like, I gotta get because there's certain ones.
Stack.
But the British accent is good in the morning. I cannot do that on the way home. It's like it's like his voice puts. It's like that's my morning one, and I have my afternoon book, you know what I mean? The audio book. And I come home and I'm reading books here. Like that's one thing about Safe Warriors. You're going to spend, there's a lot of books that you start reading. I think you definitely, if you weren't reading before, you're going to be reading now. And they're going to be everywhere. Like there's probably books like, there's Larry Turner's books in there, like just everywhere. And, but it's a different, it's super crazy about those books because like you talked about a conversation. What's crazy about all these books we read is how much of the conversation is out in these books and print that we've been ignoring for a long time. So that's what I love about the reading is when you read something, you're like, wow.
Here's a book I want to turn you on to.
Oh, here we go. I'm gonna have no money after this. I already got $100 going out the tube.
It's called Quantum Change.
Quantum Change.
Quantum Change.
It's not a British guy, is it?
No, it's an actual book. Get the book. Don't do the audio. Read it. It's only about this thick, but it's very, very powerful.
Okay.
It's storytelling, right? But it's being able to see within the storytelling. So it looks at the storytelling. It's that moment, right? It's that moment in everybody's story where something changed for them, right? It's that it kind of drills it down to that spiritual experience, like something happened, right? In that spiritual experience, like nobody can explain why or what or who, like, I don't know. I just like, for example, myself, like something happened on that day, right? I had a spiritual experience and I just decided to go in this direction, right? Like I knew, like in that moment, my scorecards read 0 and I just decided to go in this direction, right? Like for me, that was like a quantum change moment. And we all have it. And some of us have it multiple times, right? It's that spiritual experience. But it just describes that in other people's stories. But it just really gets down to that minute moment, just that that moment.
Okay,
It's beautiful.
I like how you're doing the clicking. That's
Yeah.
a good movie. Like she's right up,
Yeah.
just like
Just that moment. It's just like that. It's called Quantum Change. It's beautiful.
quantum change.
Yeah.
I'll have to put that
Yeah.
on my list.
Yeah.
I gotta knock out some audiobooks first.
Okay.
And the 3 books I got in the nightstand.
I do too.
I'll
Like everywhere you go.
I'll probably still order tonight on,
Listen,
on Amazon.
Go to Thrift Books. There's an app. It's called Thrift Books. And books are so much cheaper, and you get them used sometimes. So they're already marked up, and so they're kind of cool.
I don't like that. I like if I'm
people
going to do a
put
book, I like
notes
to be able to mark up my own book. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
you're like a book snob?
I mean, we already know I'm a hot dog snob, obviously from earlier, but I mean, when you're looking at it, I want to be able to make my own notes on it. Like, someone's already used this book. No, it's fine. No, in college that wasn't as important. That was better in college, but So I think we've covered it all. What do you think?
I think so.
Anything else you want to add?
I just want to thank you for inviting me, and I'm so glad I met you.
I'm making me cry now.
Yeah, really. I'm glad I met you.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah, I love you too. And just from the moment I met you I think it was earlier this winter.
Yeah.
You showed up at a VFW event. I remember you saying you were sitting in the parking lot. You weren't really sure whether you should come in or not. I advertised it on the SAW Community of Practice page that we were going to be at the VFW conference. I invited a bunch of alumni, meet us here, and you were like, I don't know. And I remember you saying that you were waiting in the parking lot. You weren't really sure if you were going to come or not.
Yeah, it's a different. I mean, it's like the different me at that time. I mean, it's a couple months out. You're still worried about what your life looks like and what I'm doing. I definitely remember. I think it was there's always been moments if it's SAW when you meet people, especially meeting you. There's always forces of nature that I think you meet. How you call it that? It's always fun to be part of that. To see it. I love watching you in action when you're doing the thing. It is inspirational to watch.
Thank you.
You're kind of like a collector, like the old school mafioso, but in a very soft way of getting. Yeah, Louis.
Louis
I'll
the
break your
leg
kneecap.
breaker.
Where's that check at? No, but it's great and it's amazing. Like, thank you for coming on. I know it took you a little while to get on here. You're a little nervous, but thanks for trusting me and coming in, and thanks for sharing your story, and more importantly, thank you for everything that you do for the SAW community right now. It's I don't know if you hear that enough. What you're doing is unreal. And I know you're not doing it to hear that, but thank you. Thank you for what you do. And then thank you for all the years of service that you've had to the VSOs and your continued service to them. So I think we'll
do I get to pick the number?
We're gonna do that next. We're gonna get into the bad part, and then we'll light it back up real quick.
A bad part?
Yeah, there's an unfortunate part of the most unfun part of the evening. Each episode we honor a veteran who unfortunately took their life. So tonight we are going to honor U.S. Army Sergeant Kimberly Agar, 25. Kimberly was born on November 25th, 1985 in Dallas, Texas. Kimberly took her life on October 3rd, 2011 in Schweinzingen, Germany. She graduated from Birdville High School in North Richland Hills, Texas in 2004. Kimberly enlisted in the United States Army in 2007 as a motor transportation operator and was assigned to the 104th Transportation Company at Fort Benning, Georgia. In the summer of 2007, Kimberly deployed to Iraq, where she was wounded during an IED attack. Kimberly re-enlisted in 2010 and was stationed in Germany. In Germany, Kimberly auditioned for the U.S. Army Europe Band and Chorus and was selected as a vocalist and assistant choreographer. Kimberly enjoyed serving her community, acting, singing, cooking, working out, playing volleyball, and performing in pageants. Kimberly's awards and decorations include the Purple Heart, Army Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, Iraq Campaign Medal with Bronze Service Star, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, and the Combat Action Badge. Kimberly is survived by her mother, Margie, father and stepfather, Michael and Margaret, and Marianne, brothers Stephen and Christopher, grandmothers Betty, and numerous other relatives and friends. And please, if you or someone you know is in crisis or might be considering suicide, please contact the Veterans Crisis Line at 988, or you can dial 1-800-273-8255 and press 1, or you can text 838-255 or chat online at veteranscrisisline.net/chat. So Now for the fun. Are we ready to lighten it back up a little bit? Are you ready? Are you ready to
Yes.
pick it? She's zoning out there. Yeah,
I was looking at Kimberly.
it's a very sad story. Actually has 2 Purple Hearts that isn't in there.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a very tragic story. Like every one of them, it's always sad to.
I always think about like what's going through someone's mind in that moment. You know what I mean? Because there is just like a moment, like a very. Yeah.
For me, it's funny. I really dive into this. I spend probably the longest amount of time for that one page of things because, like for her as example, her name has come across a couple of times, but all the information is very fragmented in different places. There's not like a solid, unfortunately, when veterans take their lives, the obituaries are very bland or don't exist. But when you do that, you start to find that and come to find out she was suffering from TBI.
Yeah.
She's had an argument with somebody in the band or chorus about something, and you said, I wonder what that weekend makes her do what she did. It's always sad. And if you do, it's super emotional for me because you do dive into that. You start reading about stuff, and then a lot of these things, some of these are some very high profile suicides where they're telling stories about their parents of. The parents are survivors of those people you talked about at Touched have like launched, campaigns to remember them, whatever. But yeah, it's definitely, I think there's a lot of loneliness, I think, is what's going through their head at that time. Exactly. And it's like you talked about before. It's like we said before, you're not alone. Pick up a phone. It's, we have it here that it's the worst. I have it. It's the worst decision you can make. It seems like the easiest one, but it's absolutely the worst. Maybe great for you, but it's not good for anybody else. And it's not even great for yourself. So you ready to have some fun now?
Yeah.
All right. You sure? You're good at picking names. Like, so now we had a fundraiser a couple weeks ago for what you see here. This is why this is out here. We're not drinking. So we had a fundraiser at Zaptic a couple Sundays ago, I think, right? So I know people have been asking when we're going to do this. I figured we'd wait to do it live.
Is that Killbuck Creek? Or
no, this is actually Knob Creek.
Oh, Knob Creek.
We have some Killbuck Creek over
Got
there.
It. Okay.
Over there, but this was actually really good. We're trying to get Larry to help us out with it. So it won't be my fault here. So that's gonna be the one that picks it. So all I need you to do is reach in here, shuffle it around a little bit. You're gonna pick one name.
Okay.
The winner, you're gonna win this cool display case and a bottle of our recent Knob Creek single barrel rye. You ready?
Right.
You can take the whole jar, so I don't drop it. You take the whole jar. Pick a good one.
Thanks.
Pick a good one. Because they'll be mad at you now, not me. Oh my goodness.
All right. This is the best one.
This one, you got the one? You picked the winner? Yeah. All right.
You want me to announce
read the name? You might. What's? It might be somebody we know, but
is it Dutch?
What's that? Holy cow! We're gonna Hutch.
Hutch?
Oh, we know this is It's
okay.
We know it is.
Is that an H?
Yeah, it's Hutch. Yeah, he's actually a Grove City police officer.
Okay,
it came
got
for us
it.
a second. I had to be like,
congratulations, Hutch.
But we also know him in a different. What threw me off is he has a different Facebook name, so we know him by.
Okay,
so that's what I'd be like, I know him. Yeah. Oh, cool. So he went. Well, now I'm not so worried that we took so long to win it, but we want to thank everybody who donated. I don't know the exact numbers. We'll look at it, but it was a significant money we raised. We're always. Yeah, we're always happy with what we get, and again, all those money are going towards our scholarships that we're raising. So, I think that's the last part of the fun.
Okay.
For you.
Yeah.
I got to go through some other stuff. Not fun, but we don't normally have raffles like that. So I used to do them by myself. It's a lot more exciting having somebody else do them. So one thing we do want to talk about, we are starting to fill our 2025 calendar. Right, first podcast, season 4. That's what we're calling it. That's actually the 4th year.
Wow.
I like to say season 4, but it'll be January 9th. So this is online. If you know anybody that you think would be a good guest, you can hit me up with their name. I like harassing people just like Suzette likes to get money. I like to Keep asking them until they block me on Facebook or what. No, but please, yeah, every story is important. If you're interested, DM me. If you know somebody else, hit me up, and I don't have a problem asking them to come aboard. So we are filling them up. I think we actually already filled up one of the slots. I just hadn't had time to update it. And then the other big news is we, just like Save a Warrior, like to raise money as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we are actually going to be partnering again with the FOP Lodge 9, right? Isn't that right? Yeah. So we will be there at Army Navy. The Army Navy, again, the most important football game that's out there. And if you don't know, Army and Navy are actually ranked in the top 25. It's been a while. Army's 22. Army's 23.
First time since Eisenhower.
I mean, it's okay. Don't shit on our parade here, but it has the potential to be an awesome game. If you have never been, don't miss it. It's going to be a great bourbon raffle that you can get part of for $55. The $25 for the food and drink. The food and drink is unbelievable. And again, it's a good opportunity to be with fellow service members. It's a good opportunity to hang out. And if you're Army, talk shit. If you're Navy, hopefully lose again. But
the American Legion will be sponsoring that game.
Really, for the whole this.
Yeah, along with I think USAA helped cover their sponsorship. Yeah.
Awesome. That is good news. No, you're just trying to make me even feel better about my donation in there. So
your membership dues didn't go for that, but yeah, I think USAA covered that.
No, but we are very thankful for the FOP to be part of this partnership. It was a huge event for us last year. Got to meet some great people and get our message across. So if you haven't done so, you can scan this. There's also a post and a link on already in the page to get to it, but there is limited number of tickets. So get on there. Don't wait till the end. Because again, I'm predicting Army will be about like 12th in the nation by then.
Go Army, beat Navy.
Of course, go Army, beat Navy. It's the most important thing. And if you're a Navy fan, please don't show up. We don't need that negativity. No, I'm kidding. Unless you're a Marine, we like to give you a hard time. That's the only time the Marine Corps claims to be a Navy. So I think that's it for us tonight. I do want to thank you, again for coming in. Thank you for everything you've done. Thank you for your service to their country.
You too.
Which, looking at your life, everything else, you've done amazing things. Other than that, just a small part. So thank you for what you do for the veteran community for all these years. Thank you for what you do at Saul. It's I know you don't do it for that, like I said earlier, but I appreciate it. And there's tons of other people that are listening and that you've come in contact that really appreciate it. So I appreciate it.
Shay.
Thank you for coming down. I love you.
I love you too, brother.
And we will see everybody in a couple weeks.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Take care.